Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. We have Brian and Valencia Lee with us here today. How are y'all today?
Doing good.
So man, we're doing well.
Doing good. Great. And tell me, where you guys from?
Well, originally we're from Cincinnati, Ohio, but we now reside in Detroit, Michigan. Been here for the last
6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
6 years.
Yes, sir.
What's that been like? Living in the Detroit area. What's that been like?
Oh man. To be honest, I love it. It's honestly what I tell people all the time, it's a bigger and blacker version of Cincinnati.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How does that feel? Talk about it. I mean, I'm also from Ohio, and growing up in Ohio, I never really learned what it was like in Detroit.
Yeah.
Or even that entire area. I didn't understand that it was a bigger, vaster, busier city.
Mm-hmm.
Life must be pretty cool there sometimes.
Yeah, it's your typical Midwest major city, blue collar, a lot of hard workers, who grind for their money, and it's very diverse, different cultures, like, for example, on the southwest of Detroit, you have Mexican Town and Dearborn, which is, like, I believe the highest populated city with Arabs. City. It's the most populated Arab city
Muslim
in the entire country. So it's pretty cool,
And we're the home of the big three.
Yep, home of the big three. Ford, Chrysler, and GM. Yeah.
Okay.
Also known as the Motor City.
Yep.
Okay.
Motown Records.
Yeah.
Let me get another one.
Yeah. Yeah. We got everything. I mean, you got Motown, Detroit pizza, which is slept on. You often hear about Chicago style pizza, New York style pizza, but Detroit, we got some good pizza as well. Along with other things. Yeah, man.
Okay. And so, if when I ask a question, I think it's going to be valuable to our viewers. And shout out to all our viewers who are here with us today. Everybody who's in the building, we're in for a great conversation with a beautiful family. If you have a question, put it in the comment section and we'll post it. If you have a comment, we'll get to it. And we're just going to include everybody today. So I'm happy everybody's here. What brought you guys to the Detroit area?
So I'm a truck driver by trade. I've been driving the last 7 years. And, my very first job was hauling auto parts for GM. And I was very fascinated with, the whole auto industry, how it works, and, how easy it was. And quite frankly, I was making decent money. So I thought it was a no-brainer to try it out up in the Motor City, the home of all things automotive. So yeah, that's why I gave it a shot, and we've been here ever since.
Is it true that the semi trucks run the road?
Oh yeah, man, we run the world.
Wow.
We run the world, especially, as you could imagine during COVID, a lot of weight was put on us to, keep America moving. So, like, I've been working. I didn't even take off. I did take off for personal reasons. My grandfather passed away along with her grandmother. So I took some time off for that. But other than that, man, I've just been moving. Essential workers been keeping America moving.
Right. And I'm sorry to hear that. And blessings upon your loved ones who are in a better place now. Can you talk to me about how you guys' life? First of all, how long have y'all been married?
Oh, I'm talking now. It will be 10 years in October 8th. Wow.
Congratulations. The reason why I had to ask is because it seems like you all move as one. Y'all communicate as one. You all move as one, and I can see that. And so, that sort of a bond takes time.
Yeah, it does.
It does, and I can see the effort radiating off of you guys, and I just want to commend that right from the very start. But I appreciate that. How has your occupations and your families been impacted by the pandemic that we're all dealing with? How has things changed for you?
Well, I personally haven't been affected as bad. We have already homeschooled our children. This is going on our 5th year homeschooling our children. So that wasn't an issue for us because they were already home. I think maybe what hit the hardest, they're used to going on field trips, and just kind of getting out more, being involved in activities around the neighborhood, in our community, because we live in a small suburb outside of Detroit. And they obviously weren't able to participate in their local rec centers this year. So, that part was kind of a Debbie Downer, if you will. But other than that, they're used to just kind of being at home. I mean, we pretty much, I don't know, we kind of stay to ourselves. We go to church and we have our church community. We have, some family, they live here in the area. But for the most part, I mean, we do our thing. We have 5 children. We're very busy. We just kind of stay in our lane. So I think mentally, for me, it's kind of had, it's taken a toll because we've had so many deaths close together. And I was actually residing in Ohio back in March, late March to mid-April, to get my grandmother through hospice. She was transitioning there up until her passing, and then I was able to be there for her burial, and then I came back home. So not having that contact with people that normally will surround you during times of bereavement, that was very hard to get through, because sometimes you just need your people. You need a hug, and
Right.
couldn't physically touch people. I don't know why they call it social distancing, because actually physical distancing. So not being able to be around our church family or certain loved ones and just hug on the people that you typically are used to hugging on in difficult times, it was rather strange. So and the mask, just getting adjusted to wearing mask in public now. It's a thing. It's a thing. I like to wear my lipstick everywhere, so I still wear my lipstick with my mask on, even though no one can see it. But I just refuse to just not wear lipstick when I leave the house. So that part for me, it's just been kind of interesting.
How are y'all adapting to wearing the mask? And I have to also ask, Brian, do you ever hurry up and grab a mask and then you open it up to realize it's got lipstick in there?
I was trying to resist not saying that, but yes, yes, to answer your question, yes, that happened quite often, especially when I drive her truck. I'll be looking for a mask before I run into the store.
Right.
Yeah, she got her mask all over. Yep. So
Yeah, these masks are like they're like a new clothing item.
Yeah, everybody's selling them now too.
Yeah, everybody's selling them, but I have mixed feelings about it because on one end, I think I feel a little bit safer.
Mm-hmm.
Despite all the stuff that I'm seeing out there about how it could potentially not be safer, I will admit I do feel a little bit safer. And going forward, I can see myself keeping a mask around here or there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think about I miss out on seeing people's face.
Yeah.
And even though I can understand what somebody's face might normally look like if we're passing each other by, I think about my children and how they're missing out on the social read of understanding facial expressions. And you guys said that you have 5 children. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Right. I'm working on my 4th child. I'll have a daughter in September.
Oh,
Correct.
Thank you. And so I can't help but to think that, our children, they're not reading facial expressions for this period of time.
yeah.
They're, we didn't grow up wearing a mask. We didn't grow up having to cover up that way. And so I can just see how they're starting to see life from a different lens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
My daughter the other day, she tried to go to bed with her mask on. And I said, no, you don't have to wear it in the house like that. You know what I'm saying? And so they're growing up in a different world, and we have to adapt to that world. And I'm so anxious to skip ahead to the latter part of this interview and talk about the changes that you guys have made. But we're going to take it slow because, I see you guys as a positive example of what so many of us need to do in the world, and that's commit. I think that we are afraid to commit as a people when it comes to relationships. And can we touch on that for a little bit? How do you guys how do you guys see commitment in our communities? And I'm not just talking about the communities where you live, where you grew up. I'm talking about communities all around the world. Do we need to do a better job of committing in relationships and outside of relationships?
Absolutely. I mean, love starts at home.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So I believe it starts with first and foremost, it starts with parenting, you know, kids receiving the proper parenting and the parents being open to learning a new way, because a lot of parents probably had rough upbringings, you know, traumatic upbringings, and all they do is pass those behaviors on to their children. So I believe first and foremost, it's important to do an honest self-assessment, or get with surround yourself around seasoned individuals, you know, to really make those changes you need to make so you can be first a better person, but also a better parent or a better husband, wife. You know, I believe that's where we learn relationships.
Okay. Okay. And Valencia, would you like to answer also?
Like I said, I mean, I think he pretty much covered the bases. I do think that we have a serious commitment issue here within our community. I notice some cultures, whether they like it or not, they stay together. I think over time, because I see stuff like, how come our grandma and grandpa, they lasted long, but we can't last long in relationships? And I see certain comments where people say things like, well, that's because grandma was putting up with grandpa's cheating, and she couldn't go nowhere because she didn't have a job. And I think with the feminist movement and, you know, the liberation where women feel like, you know, I can go out here and get it on my own and independent, I don't need no man, I think that affects real men out there, because I think in general men want to feel needed, because I believe strongly that men are natural protectors, providers. They're the covering for their wife, for their children. And I feel like, you know, if a woman is, you know, displaying certain behaviors as far as, oh, I don't need you, I can get it by myself, I just want you, it's kind of like, well, where do I fit in? Because we, at the end of the day, this is a partnership. We need to work together. Not you do your thing and I do my thing. We need to find a way to bridge the gap and bring it together. Because certainly when you get married, you don't automatically become one. I hear that oftentimes, and that's not true. It takes a little while before you become one band, one sound.
A long time.
A long time. Because you're coming from two different backgrounds. You do things one way, he does things another way, and it's like y'all get on each other's nerves the first year or three, trying to figure it all out. So there's no way you'll be in sync with each other, because the first couple years you spend trying to fix little nooks and crannies that you didn't pick up on when you were just dating, or maybe when you were maybe living with each other before you got married. I totally believe when you get married, it just magnifies some of the issues that you already had, or maybe some of the things that you saw and you just ignored. But marriage just brings it to like a full perspective. So I definitely think that, you know, we really need to have some endurance about us, because relationships take work. I believe, because I mean, people say this about us. Oh, you guys are like this picture perfect couple, and you got 5 kids, and he takes care of you. But y'all don't know, the first 5 years of marriage was rough.
Right.
Like,
you
he
know,
wasn't always who he is now.
I think that we're off to a great start. You know, this is a platform for information, inspiration, and motivation, and we've managed to achieve all three early in this conversation. Before we move even further, I want to unfold some of the things that we've said today for our viewers.
Yeah.
Brian, you mentioned a couple minutes ago that we need to take a personal inventory. What is that? And how do you do that?
I would say really just taking a look and just really do a diagnostic test examination on, okay, who you truly are. First of all, find out who you are, and you can start at the very basics. You're a man. Okay. What's a man? A man is this, that, and there, when you like, what's your idea of a man? Like what that looks like. And then you begin to, okay, you take the definition of a man, and then from there, okay, am I this? Am I that? Am I this? And then you take that and you begin to work on it. And it's good to have community, because that way people can see stuff that you necessarily can't see. Because let's be honest, if we are that assessment alone, we're going to grade ourselves on a curve. We're going to, some kind of way, we're going to try to rationalize we do this or why we do that.
Okay.
It really takes community.
Right.
We shouldn't do this alone.
You just have
Right.
to hold you accountable.
Yeah, accountability is very important.
I get that. And then I also want to ask you guys, did y'all have grandparents that y'all saw growing up? Were your grandparents together and married, each of you?
Oh, can you hear us? Are we here?
So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about right now, if you just tuned in, is we're talking about the makings of a strong relationship. We're talking about what makes a relationship strong, what goes into the actual foundation of a family. Because today we're talking to a relatively young family. They're a couple, and they didn't just get here easily. They put a lot of work in, and today we're talking about some of that work. Brian and Valencia, are you here with us? So while we clear up some of these issues, I'm just going to recap some of the things that we were talking about. And we talked about the importance of commitment. We talked about how when you have or may not have had the example of your elders who were together, when our generation, I'm 30 years old. There's other 30-year-olds out there who look around and they say, where's all the married couples at? Where's everybody who's doing good at? Because last I checked, grandma was with granddad and they became the basis of our family. And so, for a lot of us, our parents did not have the same situation. And then, we look for a sense of normalcy in a relationship. Sometimes we have to dig deep in order to do something that we have not done before. So that's pretty much where we are today. And Brian and Valencia they're a really strong couple. If you guys have not done so already, I'd like for you to share the stream. Tell a friend that we're having a great conversation, and get other people in the building. Feel free to take this time out to follow America's Next Motivator, the page, because while we're at this juncture, I also would like to say when we started this TV show, we had the goal of communicating across several different lines. So whether you're watching us on E360 TV, Roku TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Facebook, or YouTube, we want you to be able to find us on all platforms. So do us a favor, find us on Facebook, find us on the E360 TV app, locate us on Roku, Android, and Apple TV, and become a part of our viewership. Hello? Testing. Testing. Okay. So we're still having some technical issues right now. Let's see.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
I heard that.
Can you hear us?
You're going in and out right now. Give us 1 second.
1 second.
So sometimes these things happen. I know that we have a couple storms going through our regions these days, and the internet has just been really acting up lately. I've had issues on my phone. My internet's been going in and out, and so I think this is something
you hear
lately. Let's see if
Can you hear us?
let's see if Brian and Valencia can leave the studio and then come back. All right, so let's see what we got in the comments. Landis Marcel says accountability is key. That's true. That's true. And while we're waiting on them to get back in the building, let's get some comments in here. What do you guys think about commitment? What do you guys think about marriage? And what do you guys think about family? I recently watched something where somebody was talking about the way that they felt that marriage was not a good institution. Some people really think that. What do you think? Do you think marriage is a good institution? Do you think that marriage is something that we should be seeking and that we should be looking to achieve? And does anybody have any suggestions of when should we get married? Do you get married right out of high school? Do you get married in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s? These are some of the questions that I'm going to be asking Brian and Valencia when they come back. So we'll wait to see what happens with them. But we live in a different type of time these days. When I talk to wealthy people, one of my favorite questions to ask them, which they don't always like to answer, is how did you make your money? I was talking to a wealthy man one day, and he told me he made his money by never getting married. But we know it doesn't always work that way. Let's see if we're ready for Brian and Valencia to join us again. Hello? All right. Seems like we're still having some technical issues here. Landis says, I think that marriage is definitely important as long as it's built on the right foundation. That's a strong point. Landis. And, I like to sit at the feet of elders or, people who are older than me and figure out, how do you build that strong foundation? Does it come from, like Brian was saying, does it come from doing a personal inventory? Does it come from me and my significant other doing a personal inventory? And what is that? Is that something that we write down on a piece of paper? Is there a notebook that we get that says personal inventory on the front of it? And then do we fill that notebook out and we read over it and go back and edit it? What does that look like? Let's see if our guests are ready to join us again. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So yeah, I definitely agree with that. My personal take on it, because a lot of the people who view this show, they could potentially care about my thoughts on things. I think that marriage is important, and I think that marriage gives you an opportunity to feel even more anchored. Corinne Riley says that my perspective is marriage is something you need to be prepared for no matter what age. I think that's absolutely correct. And that's a big deal too. That is a big deal because like Valencia was saying a little bit earlier, sometimes you get married and it's not peaceful. That first 5 years could be total chaos. And are you prepared for total chaos? That's another thing that we should consider in life. Are you prepared for 5 years of total chaos? Can you come out on the other side of it with your goals and objectives still intact?
Yo.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Yep. Can you turn it landscape?
Oh yeah, landscape. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we have to switch gears. Sorry.
Okay, it's all right. You guys are back. And so we were talking about the personal inventory, and trust me, I was trying to keep up the conversation by myself. Couldn't do it. Needed you guys. Glad y'all are back.
Yes,
You did
sir.
good. You're a professional.
Yeah. Okay. And so, Brian, you talked about the self-assessment, and Valencia, if you can tell me, were your grandparents around, and did you get them as an example too? How did that look?
No, my grandparents weren't married when I came on the scene. My mother's mother was never married. She was actually a mistress. And my father's mother, she was married, but they divorced long before I was born. So
Okay.
have that example.
And what about you, Brian? Were your grandparents married?
Yeah. So my father's parents, they were married for I don't even know how long, like over 50 years. One of those type deals. Yeah, they migrated up from Georgia in the 50s, to find better opportunities. And I spent a lot of time with them, and my mom's parents, they were married as well until he passed. My grandfather passed a couple years ago, and I always had that example, along with like my uncles, like my father's brothers. A few of them been married 30 plus years, along with my parents as well. So I sort of seen that all over growing up, which is unique for our community.
Right.
It's not often a lot of people see that.
Right. And what would you all say to other couples out there who are married, whether they're older than you guys or not? What comment or evaluation do you have about when things get tough? What advice could you give to people?
Oh, you want to go?
You can go first.
I'll say just patience. Honestly, patience, and try to maintain the peace and understand that regardless of how that person feels, you need to validate their feelings, right? And then we sort things out. I think telling somebody they're wrong for feeling a certain way, that's not it. So ultimately I would say patience and understanding. Those two things have to be at the forefront.
Okay. And we have another comment from the audience. Landis says, having transparency when going through difficulties and remembering why you got married in the first place. She's saying those things are key. Would you agree with that, Valencia?
Absolutely. I just had this conversation with my husband, I don't know, maybe a month ago. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. And what role, I have to ask this, what role does spirituality play in, anchoring you all as adults and as a family?
Everything. That's our foundation. We're Christian, we're followers of Christ, and that's what we try to stand on and try to be the best son and daughter of God we can be.
Yeah, we don't just say this is what we believe, or we don't just go to church. We actually do our best each and every day to live the Bible, Genesis to Revelation. Not that we're perfect or anything like that, but we do our best to be the best representation of Christ.
And ultimately, to piggyback off of that, going back to that self-assessment, from a biblical frame, and once you read the gospel, you understand that I'm not all cracked up to be who I think I am. By God's grace, that's the reason I'm still living, is by God's grace. I should have been dead. I should not have existed, but because God's saving grace, I'm here. I'm able to stand here today, living and breathing.
If I could add something to the relationship piece, I would say you can't change a person.
Okay.
I think oftentimes people think that they can change their spouse or a significant other, and you just can't. I think the main thing is to focus on you, the things that are wrong with you internally. Because at the end of the day, only God can do that. The best thing that has worked for me throughout the years, not saying that I've got it right all the time, But the majority of the time when I've submitted to prayer and fasting or just whatever, me hearing from God about how to deal with certain trials and tribulations in my marriage and realizing I have to work on me. I have to do a self work because the change in him is going to come, but I can't make him do anything. I can't, manipulate him into being this person that I want him to be for my own selfish reason. I have to make the changes in my own self because 10 times out of 10, every time that I did a self-assessment of me and the things that were wrong with me and my insecurities and shortcomings, when I, assessed that, that's when the Lord would bring things around full circle and he would be the man that I needed him to be in that season of my life.
Okay.
And relationships, again, are not 50-50. I think that is another false thing people think too. Sometimes it's 60-40, sometimes 70-30. Sometimes, especially when you've been married a long time, one person is more in the marriage than the other person is. And the person that is more up here has to bring the person that's kind of dragging their feet a bit. You kind of take turns doing that. It just kind of comes with the territory. But you always come back together at the end of the day because you know what the common goal is. And that's you want to grow, you want to build.
Right.
So I'm done. That's my piece.
I want to know, and we're getting ready to go to break. We're just getting warmed up. All of us have engines that are just a chugging and a chugging and a chugging, and that's great for everybody. Before we go to a break, I want to know: is there a such thing as working on one another?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Like individually, yes.
Like individual.
Well, what I'm saying is like, okay, you can't change somebody, right? But is there a such thing as working on somebody? Is that okay?
Oh, working on them? Yeah. But I think that all goes back to an honest assessment of you. Like, and see, okay, yes, they doing wrong, but what am I doing wrong in that situation? How can I create an atmosphere for this person to convert or change? It could be me, pick what I'm just using basic issues like I could what is it, lift up the toilet, I could put the cap on
that's a big one.
That's you know what I'm saying? I could put my clothes in the dirty clothes,
right?
The Bible says, by my loving kindness have I drawn thee. There have been seasons and moments of my life when I've been dealing with my own personal demons, if you will, that his love and kindness has provoked change in me. Because I grew up a certain kind of way. I grew up in a very traumatic household. Okay. And some of those traumatic behaviors spilled over into my relationship. And, I just kind of went through some stuff out of my own ignorance or just whatever, through therapy, just different things. And there were seasons where his love for me was unwavering. It still is to this day, but he would just kick it up a notch to the point where I would feel convicted, like, okay, let me chill. Let me stop being so hardcore. Let me, soften down my tone a bit. Let me, because this man isn't doing anything to me, because I'm the issue at this point. Because he's doing, everything right. I'm irritated.
Not everything.
So not everything, but I'm saying in the moment
okay.
of me going through my metamorphosis, your love for me would provoke this, like I said, conviction for me to get my act together, for lack of a better term.
Right. Okay. Wow. So, this completes our first segment of the conversation, and I'm looking forward to more of a great talk with you guys. We'll be right back after this brief message.
Right.
America's Next Motivator, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by Cedric Riley, sponsored by our good friends at 4D Healthcare. And we're back. And so, it's always about achieving your objective and becoming successful. That's what we're made of. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so as we go through overcoming the hurdles, I don't know if you guys ran track in high school or not, but you overcome the hurdles, you get north, you move the chains. And when I say move the chains, I mean get closer and closer and closer to your desired objective. That's the fabric that we're made of, and that's the fabric that we teach our children to sew. Have you guys built any new traditions into your new life? Because you guys are doing a new thing. We haven't all, grown up to put a family together the way you guys.
Yeah.
What are some of the traditions you guys have?
Oof, man, to be quite honest, I'm very spontaneous, so we could do anything. Like as far as like traditions, something we do.
Well, church is a tradition.
Regular. I'm about to say church.
Yeah.
Church is a must. Yeah, so yeah, we go to church we go to church on Saturdays. But
for now.
Yeah,
it's changing over.
You say what?
We go to church on Saturdays for now. I mean, not since COVID, but I think once everything is over, we're going to be switching to Sundays.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, we go to church. I try to. Well, yeah.
The
church.
holiday time. There's certain things in my childhood that were refreshing. So I try to pass those memories on to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Our family and our network is really in Ohio. So moving here to Michigan has been a huge adjustment in trying to find our own rhythm and how we do things. Because for a long time, I just couldn't find it in me to just do stuff with my family. I had to be around everybody else and everybody else's family because I just needed that because I don't have my mother here anymore. And, some of the close people that kind of bridge the gap during the holidays, I don't have those. So it took me several years to just be okay with just our family. If it's just us on Christmas, if it's just us on Thanksgiving, it took me a long time to adapt to that. And we've been living here, like I said, it'll be 6 years in August.
Okay. We've built a great context as to how we got here today. And I just want to tell the audience about 2 weeks ago, I saw Valencia and Brian do something very, very heroic and responsible. I saw them make an announcement that they were going live on Facebook. And, I'm a big proponent. I'm a big fan of social media these days because it's a way for all of us to connect. I haven't seen Brian and Valencia in 15 or 20 years. And so when they said that they were going live, I was eager to come and see what they were talking about. Lo and behold, they were talking about finances and the way that finances can build your family, but then they can also help you to take your family to the next level. That's a big reason why we're here today, to carry on that discussion on this platform. So tell me, can you reiterate for our viewers, what were you guys talking about?
So I was inspired to go live to talk about our financial business. My husband, he's a life insurance producer. We have been doing this for a little over a year, but we're just now starting to see the fruit of what we planted last year into this year. So I felt the need to just get live, get more acclimated, let people see my face, because usually I just kind of post, but I wanted people to see my face. I wanted people to see my heart's intent as I talked about the importance of life insurance, as I talked about the importance of, letting your finances work for you, not you necessarily working for it, and it just drains you completely and you stay in debt. And it's just a lot of different key factors that we just don't know. We haven't been taught in school, so on and so forth. So I just felt compelled to get on live and just do just a chat with anybody who was willing to listen, to hear what we had to say. We actually generated a few clients from that live tutorial interview, whatever you want to call it, in Florida, Arizona, different parts of the country. So I was grateful for that because that was my goal. A lot of people do not know what type of life insurance policies they have. A lot of people, aren't able to increase their benefits, or, they're not able to get the full face amount when a loved one passes away. And that's because they're not educated on what they have. And so I was trying to, in a roundabout way, explain the importance and why, linking up with us for a quote, and which is absolutely free, by the way, was essential. And we can break down to you how much, in, insurance you should have based on your income, so on and so forth, how much it's going to take for you to get out of debt, how much you need to put away, those sort of things, and inviting people to join our business opportunity as well. Because again, whoever is willing to listen to us and what we have to say, because we're all about building, not just so our family can grow for our legacy, right, but our community as well. We need this, especially in this pandemic. We have seen how employers are just kind of letting folks go with no warning. Healthcare is on the line. I mean, there's so many things, and you're starting to see your job is not essential, especially if you work in retail, if you work in a restaurant, or anything that's just not essential. Employers, they don't care. You're working your whole life to make them rich, and they can pull the plug on you at any given moment. And so what we teach is financial freedom, financial independence, being your own boss, being in control of your own life. But it starts up here. And you have to have a made up mind to get from the middle of just going in circles, living paycheck to paycheck, so you can move to the other side.
Right. So let me be plain as possible. You guys believe that we have financial work to do clear across the board, pretty much for a lot of us. We need to do some financial work in our families. And one of the things that we need to do is we need to get life insurance. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you guys discovered that not enough of us has life insurance?
Yes, all the time. It's
wow.
It's on repeat, man.
Wow.
Everybody can talk to.
What are the benefits of life insurance? Why do I need it? Why do we need to be thinking about life insurance?
So you're not setting up a GoFundMe account, and you're not selling rib and chicken dinners and having bake sales to come up with the money to bury your loved ones. And so your bills can be paid when, you die.
Well, what before?
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
So before all those things are true, but ultimately, we need to gain an understanding first on what insurance is, and it's a simple word. Have you heard of indemnity?
No.
Indemnify?
Teach me. No.
All right. Indemnity pretty much means to pay something off due to loss or harm. That's so you get paid for that. So do that sound familiar? How many of us have coverage on our cell phones? Well, not many, because I've seen everybody with crap phones. But or auto insurance. I mean, nowadays you have to have proof of insurance to even go to your Bureau of Motor Vehicles. You have to have proof of coverage. So it's all about protecting your belongings, in the event that you lose it. So then it can be replaced, or you can be compensated for it. So ultimately, why don't people value their life to where, they don't have insurance? I believe that's very important, because what the life insurance does, it's an income protection.
Okay.
So if somebody was to pass away, their loved ones will receive that money, and they will be able to live off that money for the next 10 to 12 years, and pretty much until they gain their bearings. And they can also, with that money, they could purchase a home. The children's education will be covered. The widow could start a whole new life, doing another career, get some more training, or whatever the case may be. And also, they could invest that money to where it becomes generational wealth over time.
Okay.
Life should be able to go on for the loved ones that you leave behind.
So, in other words, what you guys are telling me is that insurance helps you to take care of the next generation of your family?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and the generation after that.
So you mean to tell me
Because
it's not just about me working 12 hours a day in and day out. It's also about this thing called life insurance,
yeah,
right? Which
yes, sir.
which involves obviously this keyword, this important word, indemnity, which is protecting your assets, preserving a level of value for your life. What about people that think that their life has no value? Have they been sleeping under a rock for the past 100 years?
Pretty
Obviously so.
much. So,
Pretty much.
and to ultimately, I would say people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. And that's
Okay.
ultimately why people are not as awoke. And to, like my wife said earlier, we're not learning these things in school.
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't know the importance of life insurance until I was like 27, 28. You know what I'm saying? So we believe, and that's why we got into the business of doing, teaching financial literacy, so people can learn these things at an earlier age, by first teaching their parents, and they can teach their children.
So let me ask 2 questions. The first thing is, just because I have a job, does that mean, and they say you have a job with benefits, just because I have a job with benefits, does that mean that I have life insurance?
Possibly, but you don't own it.
Yes, you do. Yes, so like she said, you do own it. I mean, you do have it, but you do not own it. Your employer owns that policy.
You can own life insurance?
Yes, when you purchase it yourself.
Yes.
But, with an employer, they own that policy. So ultimately, you have to be working. So let's say get hurt on the job and you go on disability or whatever. Well, you're not clocking in those 40 hours. So more than likely, 9 times out of 10, you're not going, if you was in the event that you was to die, your family would not get that death benefit.
Or just with COVID-19, you get COVID, okay, you're working, essential or not, and the only coverage you have is through your job. Okay, you're off work for 2 weeks because you have to quarantine, right? Say the unthinkable happens and you pass away in that 14-day window. There's a guarantee that they may or may not cover you because you are not physically on the job working.
Right.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. Whereas if you do level term insurance, it's quite simple and it's the cheapest insurance in the industry. If you do level term insurance, you're guaranteed to get paid when you die. Now there's other certain policies like they're called whole life, universal, etc., where you might not be guaranteed that coverage for. I mean, that's a whole nother show right there.
Right.
But,
okay. And I noticed that you guys said consultation is free.
yeah.
So if somebody wants to call you guys directly and get more information, would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. What number could they call?
They can reach me at area code 248 525 2638.
Okay. And so now that we know that we can contact you directly, do you have an email address as well?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It's Brian, and that's with a Y, so BRYAN dot Lee, that's LEE 8506 at gmail.com.
Okay. I want to know, because I wish we had more time with you guys today, but time flies when you're having fun.
I know, man. This is
fun. Because here's the key for me. This is like what made my light bulb go ding, 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 is the fact that you can have a positive impact on the next generation of your family with life insurance.
Yes.
So I've had a lot of ballroom discussions about, what people need to do in order to, make their communities a stronger thing. And I've heard insurance several times, but I think that there's a need for us to get more serious about life insurance. And it sounds like what you guys are saying is that life insurance is essential,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of the keys to generational wealth. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And here's the reality. So it's called the theory of decreasing responsibility.
Mm.
All right, we're young, we have young families, and a lot of us are on the up and up. We're trying to establish ourselves, in our 20s and our 30s. Well, we might not have a lot of money established and set up and
Right. That's
invested
right.
or what have you. So we need to protect that area if in the event that we were to die. Whereas down the road, okay, we're in our 50s, our kids are grown, house, we have money stacked to the T. Like we live and we travel in the world. You're not gonna need life insurance, and that is the difference between us and everybody else. We put you on a financial plan for you not to have life insurance in your 50s and 60s. Mm-hmm. We don't believe in whole life insurance. We believe in financial freedom. And in the process of you obtaining your financial freedom, you should have your life insurance for a term, a small period of your life, a couple of decades. And
so
then
term, we need term life insurance. Is that what
yes,
you're
sir.
saying? We need term life insurance.
Yes.
Okay.
Term life insurance.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we need term life insurance. We can contact you guys in order to make that a reality in our lives.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Wow. I wish you guys much success. Definitely financial success, but even a little bit more important or along the lines of importance to that, you guys are setting up your community members with an opportunity to sustain value in their lives. And
Indeed.
That's the part about this that is truly unique and is truly a heroic thing that you guys are doing. It's not every day that somebody says, hey, let's start an insurance company. And insurance companies are highly respected businesses. They're highly sought after businesses, and everybody needs it. Everybody needs insurance. Everybody needs life insurance.
Yes, they do.
We have a very esteemed gentleman in the building tonight, Aaron Himes. He says, I'm still looking for my big bag of money. So, we're all trying to figure out, how to get on a positive end of our endeavors in life. And based on what I saw you guys going live about the other day, life insurance is a big part of that.
Yes,
now, as we close out, this is our opportunity to speak to the community now and in the future. As you guys know, we're on live television right now. Young people are going to be watching this in the future. Young adults, grown people are going to be watching this in the future. And I would like to know from y'all, what is survival to you?
There you go.
I believe it's something we all should know how to do, survive. But on the same token, it could be a dangerous place.
Okay.
Because you can compromise your values. Anything could. I mean, people do like let your back get backed up against the wall, and you'll be tempted to do a few things, just to survive. So it's good to have the ability to do that, but you want to move over to thriving. So yes, you might go through a period of survival, but it should be a means to an end, not just being caught up in a cycle.
Sure. That brings me to my next question. What is success?
Success.
I'll let you answer that.
I should have answered the other one because you took my words. Success, I would say, not only what makes you happy and you can make an income doing, but also make an impact. Teaching other people how to do what you do, so that the next generation can come up and repeat the same thing. Giving back to your community. Young man said, keep your integrity, your character. I love that. All those things. I think that is the recipe for great success.
Sure. And what is greatness?
Greatness. Whew. I would say just
I would say, that's a good one. I would say greatness is just, just operating at a high standard, performing at a optimum level, and being effective, to your community.
And feeling good about yourself. Feel good about yourself.
Yep.
So that light can spread onto other people. You got to love yourself.
Yep.
You guys have said a lot of quotable things today, and I appreciate you guys. I want to let you know I respect your work. I commend your work. I'm giving you both your